Thank you very much. My dear friends, I have just updated my bucket list, and I'm going to make sure I visit Dubai this year. All right, coming up next for a speech is a youth activist, a lecturer, the former president of the Nigerians in Turkey and about 14 other countries. We have Comrade Gideon Jude. A round of applause, please.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here and an honor to be here. I just want to say thank you to Dr. Hassan, has been a good friend for some time now, and we've worked on several projects together as well and partner in different areas as well. I want to celebrate the Senator. Senator, you are highly welcome. Thank you for flying all the way from Africa to be in this place, Senator Mongolili, if I pronounce it correctly. Almost. Well, I hope I get a pass mark. Thank you, Ambassador Dr. Sharon. It's a pleasure to meet you and to see you here and to listen to your wonderful speech and to see how your loving husband has accompanied you, Dr. Elsie Miles, if I get the name correct. Thank you also to Dr. Anurag, business expert, business tycoon, we can say. And of course, the management of this beautiful resort, Acapulco Hotel and Resort. I salute all the guests, and I want to especially salute, I can see across the room my students as well. I celebrate you if you're here. I can see members of CCE Studios, and I salute you as well. So all of these and many other persons, and I'm sure I can see across the rooms people from different nationalities, which makes it truly a World Youth Summit. If we are here and we have just one country, it might not be a World Youth Summit. But we have different nationalities, which makes it presentable and also gives it the global outlook. I want to pick on my speech. I'm going to be very cautious with time, as much as I can. Transformational leadership, and especially in the context of Africa, one of the biggest questions we want to ask is, are we ready to lead? I want to pick on from where the Senator mentioned. He started from the Pan-African coming together and also the fight for colonial freedom, and which has actually set the basis for Africa to be able to integrate with itself. I want to make reference to something he mentioned, and in that light, I want to also mention that the efforts of the heroes that has been done on all of the things that we read today are products of individual commitment. We can only have transformational leaders when we are able to take on singular and individual, intentional and deliberate action to lead ourselves first. You cannot lead the world until you lead yourself. Our dear icon today, Nelson Mandela, is only made reference to today because he was able to, for the first time, lead himself, and then being able to lead other people. One of the key marks I see with leaders, and if we read biographies of leaders around the world, is challenge has always been part of their story. I've never seen a leader that has no challenge. Our preposition of leadership today is positional. That means let me get a position where I can tell this person go here and you go there, and then everything looks fine. But it has never been so for true leaders that we have seen over the years. They are products of challenges, twist and turn. Now we celebrate Nelson Mandela as an icon, but we don't talk about the struggles he went through. We don't talk about the imprisonment. We don't talk about the rejection, the betrayal, and some of the other challenges that they have actually gone through. So my question once again to these champions is, are you willing to be a leader? Are you willing to marry challenge along the way? That's the biggest question, because the leadership virtue is only produced out of your challenges and out of the struggles, out of the things that you want to confront. So I think this will be something very important to take note. Being a lecturer, I just want to also come in from a different perspective. My specialization is in law and also in politics and international studies. I'd like to mention from the African Union, since Africa is the context of our discussion today, I discovered shockingly that the budget of the African Union is largely sponsored by external powers, external forces. So we have, for example, the West. We have European Union sponsoring maybe 60% of African Union's budget for the year. It's shocking. While somebody may think this is free money, is good, let's get it and enjoy it, I feel there's a problem there. The problem is, if anybody is paying you, they control you. If anybody is paying you salary, they can tell you when to start work and when to close. It's not actually free money, because if these guys are contributing to the budget, to me it means unlimited access to the gold mines of Congo, for instance. It means unlimited access to the resources in other countries that we can mention. And I've not seen any African country that is dry of resources. Dr. Anurag rightly mentioned, and coming from the business point of view also, he made reference to some of the investment that we see in Africa. While I'm sure we would love globalization, we would love other countries to come in to invest, but sometimes we want to be skeptical when we see the mode of investment as well. There has been recent debates on China's involvement in Africa and how China is almost everywhere now, globally. I think it's a good idea, and I love the Chinese to come. The only challenge we have with this is, how do we censor these kind of activities? How do we really guide and watch what is going out of our countries, and so that we can be able to build, and at the same time being able to copy from good examples and then emulate in our society. So I tell my students sometimes, and I ask them questions. If you want to be a transformational leader and you want to really develop your country, and we have different countries here, I like to ask them questions. I would ask them, especially the African students, I'll say to them, how many of you would see a product coming from Africa, made in Africa? The quality is actually even better. But you see another product, maybe with an inferior quality. I don't want to mention products, you know the products we buy. All right, so you see another product with a lower quality, you are likely going to buy the products coming from another place than buying African products. I must say, I looked at Senator with so much admiration. It takes courage to be a leader. It takes courage to be able to stand alone. And looking at you, it's actually the representation of the African brand. I mean, it takes courage to stand alone, and only leaders can want to stand alone. Leaders are not always alone. They might start the journey alone, but somehow other people will join later on. So mostly we are likely going to buy Gucci coming from another country. You're likely going to buy an iPhone coming from another country. You're likely going to buy a car coming from another country. Now we have domestic car producing companies in Africa. Nobody wants to drive that. They want to drive Benz. This is where transformational leadership starts, in the African context, where there is intra-African trade. When we begin to trade with ourselves, we will now be able to create monitoring policies that will safeguard foreign investors. When foreign investors come in, they know what to expect. We have a template of what we want to give them to see. But right now, mostly we don't even have a template. So whenever they come, they actually create the template and then give it to us. And you know, if somebody is creating templates, the person is going to create on his own terms. So I think this is a food for thought for all of us, because I make no mistake, the leaders of our various African countries are seated right here. It's not an assumption, and it's not a feel-good speech to make you feel happy. But without any iota of doubt, I know that the genuine leaders of Africa are seated in this room. You might not be the face, but you might be the one who influences the face of that country. How are we looking at Intra-African trade? How are we promoting products coming from the soil? And truly, Africa is the future of the world. Every country you can think of. Now, Turkey has recently reached out to Africa now. And every country standing and every country looking for possibility is finding ways to go into Africa. I'll just give you an example. For me, if the demand of a product that I have is high, I change my terms. If I'm selling this for 5 Turkish lira, is the currency we use here, and I see demand is high, as a business person, I think the great advice is to raise your price when demand is high. But mostly we do not do that in Africa, because now the whole world is going into Africa. Name any country that is standing on the EU is fully there and has been there for ages. United States is there. As a matter of fact, one of the conflicts United States is having with China is, you are into Africa more than us these days. And then it has become a fight. China is into Africa, Turkey is going there, and different countries are going into Africa. Dubai also, with all the beautiful things we see, is relying on resources from Africa to build the continent and to build the country as well. So when I see how valuable my product is, I actually increase the price of my product. Does it make sense? Yes. If the whole world is knocking on our doors, then I think we need to redefine our value system. Because the whole world is knocking on African doors. We are open now to receive people from different places. I think it's time to get together to be able to create a template and to create a platform where we can be able to transact based on our own terms. I'm Pan-African, but at the same time, I'm a global person also, because I understand that for any country to succeed, you also need other countries to be able to succeed. So from the business point of view, Dr. Anurag has done justice to that, so I'm not going to spend much time in doing that. And I'd want to also mention something regarding brain drain and brain gain. And this is very intentional, because looking over the room, we have international students, and we have mostly African students, and you are currently not in your country. So brain drain, for those of you who might not understand what it means, is the best in leaving their country after getting all that you can have, receiving the possibilities, receiving the education from your country, and receiving experience, receiving expertise from your country. You leave your country to pour out this experience in another country. For your country, it becomes a brain drain, because you are draining your country. Your country can keep you. Of course, I can understand you're going to argue the other part as well. My country is not paying me as much. That could be a fair argument as well. For the country who is receiving your brain, they are having a brain gain. So you have been trained here, you've done all that you know how to do, you've used your country to build you up, and now you pour all of the experience in a different country. And mostly we run to the Western countries to pour out this experience. The best doctors are here now are Nigerians flooding the US and the UK. And if you look at not only in the medical sphere, we have in the IT department as well. We have different people, and young Africans doing massive things, and you want to hear and you want to wonder, where are these people with the state of Africa? I understand our government might not be able to provide the policy that we need, but I think there is a call in every African country for some of us to need to go back and do something worthwhile with the experience we've gained from here as well. You might not want to stay there for the rest of your life, but there are ways you can contribute even as a diasporan African. There are many ways that we can contribute. After staying in Cyprus for 6 years, my first 6 years here, returning home, the first time after 6 years, when I went home, I cried. I was crying because when I left and now returned, things have changed, not in the positive direction, but downward. And I was concerned why and what happened to our nations and what happened to the people. There's actually massive brain drain going on in Africa. The aviation industry has really picked up so well, even with COVID and even after COVID, because there are many doctors flying out of Africa as we speak. There are many professionals and IT persons flying out of Africa looking for greener pastures. And I know the dream might be the same for you. And I'm sure if I ask in the room, if we have students here, and you ask them, where are you going to after your studies? You will hardly hear one who will say, I'm going back to Africa. Can I tell you the names of countries you want to mention? UK, Canada, US, and all of the EU countries. Which I can understand. For some reasons you feel you want to go to where everything is finished yet. I mean, everything is ready. But sometimes the gift we can give to ourselves is to go and be the finisher of things where it is unfinished. And this is what this icon has done. He saw a system without justice, and I understand he came from a rich background. He could just have, smuggled himself out of the country and live the struggle. But he saw beyond personal comfort, and this is where leadership starts. When we are able to see beyond personal comfort, then we are becoming leaders. So he saw beyond personal comfort, and then he decided to stay in the face of adversity. And my wish and prayer is that your strength will not fail in the day of your adversity. Because as humans, we are bound to face adversity. So this is where transformational leadership starts. It starts with courage, and it starts with the ability to stand alone and to be able to foresee the future. Imagine that all of the countries are coming to Africa and the Africans are running out of Africa. China is running into Africa, US is running into Africa, EU is running into Africa, but Africans are running out of Africa. We have lost hope too quick, but I see an Africa that is rising. I see an Africa that will shine again. I see an African country or continent that will stand again. I see the Africa that will be the home of our dreams. I see that Africa that will light up the world again. That will not only attract the countries of the world because of business and because of resources, but will also attract them for our education system, will attract them for the technological advancement, because I see possibilities that we can all do it by ourselves. Is that possible with you? And like the words of Ambassador Sharon, I want to ask you, champions, once again, is this possible with you?
Yes.
Let me know how possible it is. Is it possible with you?
Yes.
Is it possible to be an African of our peace? And with this submission, I want to once again acknowledge and thank all of you for making it. So I understand that today we are gliding, so tomorrow is going to get deeper. We're having panel discussion tomorrow, and there will be a Q&A tomorrow, so question and answers, and I'm sure many of us will have questions on this subject matter. But once again, thank you, and I'm very happy to be here. My name is Gideon Jude. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Gideon. I would really love to retain my iPhone, but if there is any leader in the tech industry, when you make something better than that, please inform me. And make sure you fix the Snapchat glitch, okay? All right, we're going to be having the presentation of our awards right now.